Okay, so let's have a look at now what we are going to cover today. So we're looking at non-narrative comprehension, okay, and normally the non-narrative one is actually your section C. So you know that for your paper 2, right, you have section A, B, and C for your paper 2. Non-narrative comprehension is normally your section C, okay. Section A will be your visual stimulus comprehension. Section B will be your narrative comprehension, the one that normally you have to read a story. And section C will be non-narrative, which is mostly non-fiction, which means based in reality. So it's either sharing with you some information regarding science, or it could be telling you about a topic, it could be writing about an opinion or whatever, but it's not in the form of a story. So this is normally section C. And then after that, we'll be talking a little bit about current affairs. All right, let's get to it. So welcome to the class. This is a holiday class, and it's a head start to Sec 2 class. Now, your secondary 2 is a really important level because from Sec 2, you will be streamed into the various Sec 3 classes. So depending on how you do at your end of your exams, you will be placed into the Sec 3 classes according to your results, right? So normally for Sec 2, a lot of students want to do well so that they can get into the better or the best class. And then, with the whole idea is, with the influence from the better class or the best class, you would be influenced to do well for your O levels as well. But ultimately, the end goal is the O level. Or for those of us who are in normal acad or normal tech, the goal would be N level first, and then maybe after that O level, depending on whether you want to go for your O's or not. So with this Head Start program, it's designed to actually give you a taste of what you might expect in Sec 2. Basically, nothing as compared to Sec 1, right? The sections and the formats and all that, they are the same, but the difficulty level has increased in Sec 2, basically. So whatever that they've trained you for in English for Sec 1, you can still expect to see the same types of formats for Sec 2 for your writing. The same way that they present you with questions for Sec 1 will be continued on in Sec 2, but the difficulty level will increase, basically. So like what I said today, we are learning non-narrative compre and current affairs, right? Current affairs, I really want to leave it up to you to ask questions about the world rather than me covering a topic that I've chosen or the school has chosen for you all the time. I would much prefer it if you had something that you've wondered about the world, like maybe you wonder about Malaysia, right? Since you are so close to Malaysia, right? Why is there an East Malaysia and a West Malaysia? How did Malaysia form in the first place? Stuff like that. Get some general information so you have more to talk about during your orals. Okay? So first part. So for your section C, right? I'm not sure whether your teachers tested you on summary writing at your end of year exams for Sec 1, but in Sec 2, they will definitely test you on summary writing. That's like a confirmed thing. And summary writing will always be in your section C only. It will not appear in your section A. All right, it's always section C, and it's always the last part of your section C. Okay, and your summary writing, right, takes up a huge amount of your marks. All right, that's 15 marks right there. So as you can imagine, your entire paper 2 is only 55 marks. So 15 out of the 55 marks will be given to your summary writing. So you can imagine what a large portion it is actually of your total marks. When we write summaries, okay, why do we need you to write summaries? After you have read like a long piece of text, right? The whole idea is for you to be able to catch out the important parts, right? And then put it together again into a paragraph using your own words to express the same ideas. And that ability actually would help you a lot, right, as you go along in life. So imagine this, okay? I'll give you an example. Let's say you are completing a project, okay, with some friends in maybe Polytechnic. Let's say you go to Polytechnic after your O levels and you want to complete a project. So you split the task among yourselves. You say, Unluck, okay, go find out more about the neurological disorder Guillain-Barré, right? And then Kirana, can you research more about what are some things we can do with patients for Guillain-Barré? And then Yu Leong, right? Could you go find out what are some things that we can educate the Guillain-Barré patient about, that kind of thing. So you all have different parts of um, the project split up. And then when you come back again, if you show everyone everything, right, you're wasting their time because they task you to do that particular part only, right? You summarize it for them and tell them basically what have you found out. So by doing that, you save everyone's time, okay, by splitting the task amongst everyone. So, but being able to summarize is a very important skill when you are doing project work. Okay, not just for Polytechnic, but even Sec 3, Sec 4, Sec 2. If you have project work going on, or you need to give information quickly, okay, then you need to be able to summarize. Can you imagine, Kirana, like one day, right, you are walking home from school or something, and you see an accident happen. Then, of course, someone calls for the ambulance, someone calls for the police because it seems like it was a hit and run, right? Someone hit a pedestrian and then that person drove away instead of staying to assist the pedestrian. And, when the police come, they will definitely be asking you some questions. So they have no time to listen to your grandmother, grandfather story. Oh, this morning, I had kaya toast for breakfast and it was a nice day. I decided that when I went to school, I was going to have chicken rice for lunch. Kind of thing. No, you don't have time. They need you to summarize the important parts of what you witnessed during the accident. So you have to give them the important parts only in a summarized form, right? At around 1:13 p.m. just now, when I was crossing the road, I heard a loud bang behind me. When I turned around, I saw that a person was lying on the ground and that person was moaning in pain. And then suddenly a car sped off. That car was a red colored car, and I think the brand was Toyota. I didn't quite see the car plate very clearly, but I think that car was the one that hit the person who's lying on the floor. I rushed over to see what was happening and immediately called for an ambulance after making sure that that person was safe. Other people came down to help as well, and we managed to bring that person right to the side of the road so that the other cars will not run over him anymore. Uh, blah blah, and that's all. You summarize the whole situation. The policeman will take down all the important notes that they need to take. Yeah. So no matter what kind of situation you find yourself in, summary writing is a very important skill. Okay, it can range from reporting something to a police officer, all the way to project work, all the way to presenting a PowerPoint presentation to your boss in the future. All of those things require summary skills. All right, so it tests your ability to extract the main gist of a text. What's a gist? Gist, which means the main meaning of a text. And it's up to you to determine what is a main point and what is not a main point. Okay, so you have to pick out the relevant details. What happened to my mouse? It's gone. So you have to pick out the relevant details that answers a question. And okay, this part is like this is like your first step. Then your second step, right? You need to use your own words, all right, to express the same meaning, like what the passage actually had for you. So there's a skill involved in picking out main points. Is it relevant or is it irrelevant? You have to decide. Based on what? Based on the summary question criteria. Okay, and then of course, next time when you're working, you have to decide what's important to your boss and what's not important to your boss. But because of that, you might cause your boss to not have some information because you think it's less important or something else is more important, that kind of thing. So it's always good to be clear, and it's always good to clarify with your boss, clarify with your project mates, clarify with the police officer if you have something that you're unsure of, and then you give them the information they need. Okay, but that's what summary writing is training you for, basically. So this is how it's broken down. Okay, remember just now we said main points, right? So your content will basically be your main points. What are the main ideas that you can extract from your passage, right? That relates to the summary question. If the summary question is asking you for things that happen when you are lazy, that kind of thing. Then you have to write down everything, all the ideas all the ideas in the passage that are linked to what might happen if you become lazy, that kind of thing. So what this point system here actually means would be 8 marks would mean 8 content points. Okay, 8 content points. So the moment you pick the 8 ideas out, you're scoring 8 content points there already. Okay, keep in mind that most content points, right, are actually the main point over here. Remember, we had the PEEL format. PEL stood for point, elaboration, or you can say explanation, example, and then link, right? Remember the PEL format? Now, during your section C, the points that you should be looking out for will mostly be P and E. Okay, priority is what? Priority is main points. Number 1 priority. All right, if you can find 8 of these, you are set. Number 2 priority would be elaborations, which are basically explaining what you mean with your main points. So if you can't find 8, then you have no choice. You find the remaining 1. Okay, or the remaining ones in the elaboration part. Okay, for examples, okay, it is rarely the case, all right, that we use examples as our part of our 8 points over here. So it's rare that we use examples unless the teacher gives you very little paragraphs to work with. So for summary questions, they will normally tell you paragraph 1 to 5, or look for your answers, look for your main points from paragraph 2 to 3, or look for your main points from paragraphs 3 to 10, that kind of thing. Now we will only use examples, right? And it's very rare. We'll only use examples if what? If the summary question doesn't give us enough paragraphs. For example, all right, they might give you 2 to 3 paragraphs only. And then what happens? You're desperate, right? You're desperate. You can't find the main points to use. You don't have enough main points to use. Even you have even used the elaborations already, but you still don't have enough to make up 8. So where are you going to find your number 7 and your number 8 point? No choice. You have to use the examples as part of your summary writing. Okay, I'll show you what I mean later. Just keep this in mind first. Okay, and lastly, link, right? Okay, we never use links in our to be considered for part of our 8 content points over there. We don't use links. We only use main points, which is the ones that we mostly would say would be the best to make up part of our content points, and we might use elaborations. Okay, and of course examples are rare, so I'm not going to draw a line over. Mostly we would be looking for main points and elaborations to make up our 8 marks here. 8 marks. Now the next one, right? Language, 7 marks. Okay, when we say language, what